And we're live. Okay, I'm Irving Twin. You know who I am if you're watching this. And I'm here with my new friend, Craig Bragg. If you like going for drives and having conversations anywhere from deep to silly, then Craig Bragg is your man. Craig, how are you?
I'm good, Irving. Thanks. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Like you're Canadian, like I am. Where,
I am.
what province are you in?
I'm in Ontario.
Also in Ontario. Okay.
Yeah. Are you?
Are you
You're in Ontario. You're in Ontario as well, or?
Torontonian? Yeah, the least Canadian place in Canada. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I'm not far from Toronto.
Mm.
In a, I'm in a suburb of Toronto.
I guess technically I'm in a suburb of Toronto. I'm in Etobicoke, right?
Oh,
But
okay. Yep.
it's mega city now,
You
so
you can see the CN Tower from your house probably. So.
no, no. Not no no no. Like literally if you drive 5 minutes west, not even no, if you drive 3 minutes west or 10
Yeah.
minutes north, you left Toronto.
Oh, okay.
That's
Fair
that's
enough.
where I live.
All
So
right.
yeah, way out there. Yeah.
Than
And
that, but yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, that's what I do. I get in my car in the morning. I drive about 12, 15 minutes to work, and I rant about whatever I saw on Twitter the day before, YouTube or what have you. So,
it's a
but
beautiful outlet, right? You just
yeah,
feel
for
better
sure,
having done it.
it's true. It's like therapy, but
Yeah.
cheap, nearly free. So
Yeah, you already have all the gear required, right? So go ahead. Scream into the abyss, baby.
exactly. Well, they'll look at me like I'm insane, but whatever. So
I do like the little Wolverine hanging in
yeah,
the. That's perfect. That's perfect accoutrement of those videos, man.
it once was Hulk, and I got rid of the Hulk, and now I put Wolverine, and I'll eventually change it probably to Iron Man or Thor or something. But
But Wolverine's Canadian.
it's true, it's true. So it really does fit. It's true, and I do uh, a fair bit. Although most of
Yeah.
my stuff is American, but I'm one of the very few Trump supporters living in Canada, so uh, I ruminate and marinate in that stuff. So I tend to
Mm.
talk about that quite a bit. So
I'd say I lean more towards supporting him than not supporting him. Definitely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I would say I'm more an apologist than I am a supporter.
Mm. That's a good word. That's
People,
actually the first
people
time I've
say,
heard that word used in a good way.
"Can you believe what he did?" Like I work with people who, and one of myself and one other person were the only ones who were like, "Yeah, Trump's going to take this election, right?" Everyone's like, "No way, no way." And when he did, they were all mad at me. They just, they looked at me like I was,
They're mad at you.
"Oh yeah, it's like it's
That's
my fault." Like um, I didn't donate to his campaign. I didn't vote
you
for the
didn't
guy, but
even vote. Yeah, like holy shit.
yeah.
Oh,
So anyway.
must feel
But
good though, deep down
yeah,
inside. Yeah.
it does. But you know what? We're Canadian. We're too polite. We can't
Mm.
gloat. You know,
That's why I drink.
I gloated to my brother, and he didn't like it too much. But whatever, because he was anti-Trump from the very get go.
Yeah, and you know what I found, at least like within my family, uh, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, no, let's have him win. Let him win. Do it. Put
Yeah,
put somebody else in the
yeah,
anybody that isn't a politician."
yeah. Shake it up, and that was partly
Yeah,
why I was behind him. Like, you know what? Like, one, I've been watching up until the election. I've been watching all of the insanity going on in Europe.
yes,
Stuff happening. It's going to happen here in Canada, and I see it could happen in the United States. And so he spoke to that, and it resonated. I'm like, and as soon as he was in the first debate, I was watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, that guy's going to win. I just knew it from that point. I'm like, he's going to win. And people were like, no, no, there's no way he's going up against Hillary. Hillary's going to be the Democrat candidate. She's going to win. It's basically it's her turn, right? But
right.
I'm like, I don't know. And then I watched a video of Charisma on Command YouTube channel.
Not familiar.
Okay, it's called Charisma on Command, and the guy basically he analyzes different public figures and their speaking style, and how they engage with people and how they engage with media. And he was just saying, I'm putting my money on Donald Trump. I don't want him to win, but I'm putting my money on Donald Trump. I'm betting money that he will win. And it's
Right.
basically because of how he carries himself, how he dominates any particular setting he's in. And yeah, and I was like, yeah, he's probably going to win. So And there you go. So now anytime he does something that pisses people off, I have to go, yeah, but I'm an apologist for the guy, even
Yeah.
if I don't agree with everything he's done. So, but
Yeah, no, I mean, who agrees with everything up even their favorite politician has done?
exactly,
That's just not how it goes, you know.
exactly.
Uh, but I mean, I it's funny. A lot of people in my like it say at work. This one guy I work with, he's very left. He's very left,
Hmm.
and he loves Trump.
Really, eh?
Yeah, like he's like he disagrees with everything, but he can't help but love the way he behaves.
He's probably an old fag on 4chan then, because that's I'm an old fag on 4chan, and I'm like, oh my god, like he's like a shit poster in real life, and he has the national stage, right?
Well, this guy's actually
International,
this guy's an old black Guyanese dude, and just yeah, he just loves the way that like it doesn't matter whether he's right or wrong. He's not lying when he tells it like it is.
right?
He's just telling you whatever's in his head at the moment.
Exactly,
And that's why people like him. That like and he won't back down from a challenge,
exactly.
right? People
Especially
love that shit.
and especially because um, people are sick of polished politicians, right? Obama was very
Yeah.
polished and he was very, but uh, and they know when they're being lied to. And I think, particularly, the blue collar people in the United States are like, we're tired of being sold shit. We're tired of, some having people piss on our leg and tell us it's raining.
Yeah.
So
The silver tongue, it just doesn't cut it anymore.
yeah,
And
they want someone who speaks frankly, and that's why he
yeah.
filled stadiums and airport hangars and stuff. So yeah, but it's been a weird year. It's been a messed up year, but and like him are sort of coming around to like he's the guy now, and we just kind of have to like live with it.
Love him or hate him, he's effective though. He's getting a lot done, and he seems to be a stronger. I don't know if stronger person's maybe not the right word. Definitely a stronger personality than both Barack Obama and George Bush.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean they're like like I said, they're politicians and they're established in the way things work in Washington or have worked in Washington up until this election, right? And now everybody who's been there for 30 years are having a hard time dealing with this guy and coming out on top. I mean, he's owning the Democrats with regards to just about every challenge they go up with him against.
So he's owning the fucking Republicans.
It's true. It's true. To deal with them either. I mean, all these
Yeah.
Republicans who've become staunchly anti-ruling party. I mean, the Republicans will have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, and they're anti the guy who's at the head of it all right now. So it's insane.
I'm suddenly wondering if a lifetime in politics, you always end up having done something wrong or owing somebody something, and everybody's got leverage over everybody else.
Yeah,
And
very well could be. Yeah,
none of them have political leverage over him.
yeah.
It just
He's
doesn't
got
exist.
because he's got what they call fuck you money, right? He doesn't care. You can't ruin him. So you know,
Yeah, but also like politically, he's never done a favor for somebody. He never
right,
got a favor for somebody. He doesn't owe anybody anything.
right.
So it's this flat landscape in which only the art of the deal actually will get anything done.
It's true.
And yeah, it's kind of hilarious to see everybody floundering
And
because
that's like when you hear people make the argument, oh, he's just as corrupt as any politician. I'm like, well, then somebody would have manipulated him in some way by now to do what they want him to do. And if people, like you said, had leverage over him because he'd corrupted himself politically over the years, you know, another John McCain or another Barack Obama or another George
yeah,
W. Bush doing exactly what the handlers, the puppeteers want him to do. So. And I mean, maybe he is, and he's just really good at convincing his base and convincing his apologists that no, 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 I know what I'm doing. There's always the argument that he's playing 4D chess, and nobody knows what he's planning, and he's got plot armor or whatever, just like Batman. But it's at the very least entertaining, and for that, I'm thankful he got elected.
yeah, definitely. He's yeah, he's doing the job. It's not the best presidency. But it's far from the worst.
No, it's
Far
true.
from the
Yeah,
worst.
I think he'll be the 21st century like Republicans. There'll be a segment of the Republican base that'll hold him as in high regard as they did Reagan back in the 80s. When they're
I
like, when
think so too.
Reagan left office, he was like, he was the best president we've ever had, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's arguments one way or the other, but, you know, hyperbole for sure. But there'll be a camp that says, yes, he's one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history. He's only been in it a year, folks. Give him some time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, give him 7 more years.
I keep telling my friends that. They're like, yeah, right, he'll never get reelected. I'm like,
Of course he will.
who do they
Of
have?
course he will.
Yeah. Republicans tend to get reelected. If you look back in the history, Democrats don't so much. Like, I mean, well, most times the incumbent will be reelected, but it's typically a Democrat that isn't getting reelected. So
Right. Jimmy Carter. Before that, who's
I was looking at it on Wikipedia.
Everybody since has had 2 terms, right?
Yeah, just about. They almost always do 2 terms, and it's tough to unseat a sitting president. So, but if you know he's one of these divisive characters, where it very well could be, he very well could be unseated. So,
well, we'll see. You know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Yeah, but yeah, this is supposed to be a quick introduction about me, and then you know, stumping for Trump.
You know what? That tells us a lot about you.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. It's true.
Yeah. So we were talking about having different topics. You said you had something that you might want to talk about. Let's.
Well, I was going to go, my initial topic was going to be the whole Trump DACA deal, but since we just spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes on Trump, maybe I'll come back to that later. You want to talk about Patrick Brown, scandals associated with him. I was wanted to go like, and this may be a bit too revealing about my psyche, but I wanted to go down the conspiracy theory path of the murder of those two millionaires in
oh yeah, the billionaire philanthropists.
The Barry and Honey Sherman.
That sounds right. Yeah,
Barry and Honey Sherman. They were. He's like a magnate for pharmaceuticals. Made a fortune selling generic knockoffs, and the internet's come out with their conspiracy theory because Apotex, I think that's the name of the company, Apotex, was supplying generic drugs to the Clinton Foundation, of course, in Haiti and in Puerto Rico. So, but I mean, and people are like, oh yeah, he's connected to the Clintons, and the Clintons have you know stream of bodies that they've killed over the years. You know, so that's
not a conspiracy though. Those bodies are there.
It's true. It's true. But I mean, how well connected they are to the Clintons, it's arguable. I love a conspiracy theory. Don't get me wrong. I find them tantalizing, titillating, and everything. But you know, I'm not willing to say, yep, 65 of their political opponents over the past 30, 40 years. I don't know that that's necessarily true. The Seth Rich thing, it's very, very fishy how he died.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this company, generics, and the Clinton Foundation's got to get generics from somewhere. It's not surprising that they get them from, it's a big company. It was worth billions, right? So,
right.
I don't know. It's tough to say, but yeah, they just came out with another statement about it today. I guess initially they were thinking it was a murder-suicide because they didn't find any signs of forced entry.
Right.
They've come out and said it's a double murder and possibly multiple assailants, and it was a targeted murder. So they were the victims. It wasn't like a botched robbery gone wrong. It was a targeted murder. So. Yeah, it's all very intriguing and
but again, they haven't come out with too many details because they're still investigating, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that was fucking horrific. You know?
Found by the real estate agent in the basement.
Jeez.
Strangulation. So.
And sort of propped like in a partial sitting position with their jackets or shirts pulled like down so that their arms were pinned behind them.
Oh, they're like shirted, like hockey kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of. If somebody just pulled your jacket backwards so that it tied up your arms. Right. That's how I heard it. And then, but then I also heard this was the detail today when I was hearing that yes, the police are now saying it is definitely a double murder. Was that they were hanged, but not like they weren't right off the floor,
Right. So
right? That they were like almost sitting the way it was, yeah, the way they were left. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure the details will come out. It's going to be, it's got all the makings of like a murder mystery movie.
Absolutely.
Now, the fact that there was no forced entry tells you that it was an inside job where somebody set up the address so that someone could come in and let themselves in without looking forced,
Yeah.
or they were already there, but then you'd think there'd be signs of a forced entry. Breaking into places, and it didn't show any signs of a forced entry. So,
Yeah. I mean, I heard some. Nah, I mean, this is police 101, right? If it's not the wife, or the husband, it's the kids.
right.
That maybe their children murdered them for the money, right?
Could be, yeah, could be. I mean,
Yeah. Simplest
typically
explanation, but
murder suspects are generally they know the victim. It's not going to be some
yeah.
random dude unless it's clearly like a botched robbery, right? But
Or you're in Etobicoke and this fucking Somalian kid from Brampton just decides over a period of 2 weeks to just shoot randomly at people from ages 4 to 47. Did you not hear
what's
about this?
what's that all about?
Yeah,
This has
I don't
happened
fucking
in
know.
Etobicoke?
He, yeah, from I think between like New Year's and like the 14th or 15th,
Wow.
he would just over a period of 2 weeks just fired randomly at people. I don't know
And
why. That's all the details I have.
they capture him, or
Yeah, they've got him now. He's a 20-year-old kid named Adam Abdi, I think his name is. Yeah. So I mean,
Somali national? Is that right?
I don't know. I
Or
don't know
Somali?
if he's an immigrant or if he was born here, but
Oh,
he's
I thought you said he was Somali. Oh, he
he,
may have.
he's of Somalian descent for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I stream with some people from Chicago and New York, and they're
Yeah.
probably, if they're listening to this, they're like, "Oh, that's cute."
Yeah. How quaint. How quaint you had a couple of murders
Yeah, yeah.
in the last week. We have 26 a weekend, or something like that, or
Oh my
126
God.
a week.
They keep count, eh? And last year, Chicago
Yeah.
ended. Total score for shootings was over 3,500,
It's insane.
and I think the kill count was in excess of 600.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had 120 odd shootings last year, and it was like, oh my God, shootings are up 50%.
Yeah, shootings are extraordinarily rare in Canada, right? So,
Yeah.
and yet we got crazy. I don't know where you come down on the whole gun debate or firearms debate or whatever,
Well, I'm a Canadian with a firearms license, so
but ditto. So there you
yeah.
go. Yeah, but yeah, and when I talk to my people about it who don't have a license and don't shoot, when they find out you do here in Canada, they're like, "Oh my God," they're aghast. Like I was looking at I was when I shouldn't have been at a gun website. I was looking at a specific gun, and are you buying a gun? I'm like, what are you gonna do with it? Shoot it. Like, what do you mean? What am I gonna do with it? But wow, I didn't know you're into guns. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not super into guns, but I
But
do enjoy them. I don't know a single person who's ever been to the gun range to go shooting that said, I'll never do that again.
yeah, it's true. Well, you get it under your belt, and you're like, okay, yeah, I could definitely do this. Now
Yeah.
that being said, pal, for a little over a year,
Mm,
yeah, about a year, and I still haven't bought a gun. I just
yeah.
don't. I can't decide what it is I want to buy yet. So I have some things narrowed down. I'm looking
R-
at Chiappa Rhino, uh, 5-inch barrel, 50 DS, I think is what it's called.
Holy shit.
Well, it looks cool. It's a cool looking gun, and I like revolvers. It's a revolver, so
Oh, okay. So you actually have the CR?
yeah, I have the restricted the
Yeah,
RPAL.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just have the CFSC. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you just got a regular old PAL for like long guns.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Uh and it sounds, if you know weapons, it's like the McDonald's of weapons, Savage Arms,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's true.
A 308 But I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
the slide on that gun, the bolt is beautiful. Oh, it's fantastic. So smooth.
There you go.
Way better than the
I mean,
Remington.
yeah, more into handguns than I am rifles, but I'll probably end
Mm.
up getting a gun and probably a shotgun as well. So
Yeah, there's something about the pump action on a shotgun
yeah,
that just feels right, and
it's
the
true.
same thing with the bolt.
Yeah,
I just love them.
yeah. I mean, the first firearm I fired was a bolt action. It was a 22 long rifle back
Mm.
when I was in cadets. Back when they had a gun range in the basement of the high school where we shot it.
Yeah, and they don't do that anymore.
Do that anymore? I'm like, really? That's like it's a sport. They have all sorts of different sporting clubs. Why not have that? But whatever.
Apparently, they still do it in Poland.
So, they know what they're doing over there. Oh well.
Mm. So, should we move on to Patrick Brown?
Let's do it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Brown may or may not be a serial sexual harasser, sexual misconductor, sexual assaulter. Who
Sure.
knows? There's been a few allegations. Apparently, they're all from like in excess of 10 years ago, long before he was the leader of the provincial conservatives here in
Yep.
Ontario. And I don't know. Like, I mean, that's the kind of thing you obviously should stand up and fight, right?
Yeah, and
Especially if you go ahead.
I was gonna say I think he's categorically denied it, right?
Hmm. But I think, I mean, most times when I brought this up with people, the most common response is, who?
Patrick Bragg. It's
Nobody
true, right?
knows who Patrick Brown
No.
is, right? Like, even if you're a conservative in Ontario, you don't know Patrick Brown. He's not, he doesn't have that visibility that, say, Andrew Scheer does, or even someone like Michelle Rempel,
Right.
right? And I think this is just a great opportunity, and the Conservative Party is jumping on it to
Mhm.
boot him and
Well,
get.
I
And
think he's
they have a new interim leader, and I don't know who it is because I was at work all fucking day.
I don't know either. All I know is from what I understand, he is stepping down
Mhm.
of the party. Um, he was going to run against Win, obviously, but I don't know who they're going to put in. If they talked about who they're going to,
I heard an interim leader has been elected or selected, but I don't. They're going to have to run for like do a real run, but I don't know
right?
who it is because again, I was at work all day. I got in late, and then we had technical difficulties, so we just basically just got started, and I haven't had a chance. I thought I would get home earlier and have a half hour to read up about it, and
It's all good.
yeah, didn't happen. So whatever
Well,
I heard
I'll
on
be
the
honest.
radio on the way to work is what I have.
It's all good. I voted conservative in the last election, but I don't know that I will this time. I'll be honest.
Provincially?
Last election was for prime minister.
Oh, okay, okay.
So provincially, you know what? I'm not sure who I voted for in the last provincial election. I know I didn't vote for Kathleen Wynne,
Hmm.
party, I should say. But I think I might actually waste my vote and go libertarian this time.
Okay, God, as long as you don't vote NDP, for fuck's sakes.
Oh, dirty
Oh yeah.
socialist. I
No,
mean,
like I mean,
wins as bad a socialist as you can get. Could you imagine what the NDP would do? We all be marched off to the gulags.
no, yeah. Like I love to make this joke that the Conservative Party is basically like a centrist party that's slightly to the right, and then we also have this ridiculously far left socialist party that's
Yeah,
basically communist, and farther left than them is NDP.
right. It's true. And the thing is, the liberals used to be, you know, a different shade of blue, basically. The conservatives were always very business. They were centrist, but they were always more business friendly.
Yeah,
And the liberals were, you know, they were working class friendly without going all the way, NDP does.
yeah,
But they're also not they're almost a carbon copy of the conservative party. They just, had slightly different talking points, right? Now they're so far left. It's insane. Prime
yeah.
Minister and Kathleen Wynne in Ontario. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
God.
it's
How's
it's
your
identity
electric bill?
politics. My wife pays it. I don't even look at it. It's probably a good thing. I don't even look at it.
Yeah,
So
that's oh man.
Well, you said you're north of Etobicoke, so are you more rural then,
No, no,
or are you?
I'm as north in Etobicoke, as north and west in Etobicoke as you can get, and still say you live in Toronto.
Okay, okay, fair enough. I was gonna say
Yeah,
because rural people are the ones who are really getting hit by the hydro costs, right? It's because it's the delivery where they're getting hit.
yeah, yeah. That like they'll uh, I, people I know that have cottages show up to their cottage after the winter, and they owe like $600 in
Even though they,
delivery fees because the
even though they
electrician.
had the yeah.
Right, like they unplug their fridge and freezer and everything. Everything's on. They're not using any power,
Hmm.
but they're getting stacked with delivery fees off season, and it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this noise?
Well, there was that. Yeah, it's insane. And there was that story about the person who physically disconnected their hydro before the end of the cottage season, and but they still charged them delivery. And they said, well, even if you're not using it, we're charging you delivery because it's coming to up. So unless you actually say physically disconnect me for the winter months or what have you, and hydro comes out and does it, where Ontario One or whatever it is comes out
Yeah,
and physically does it, you're going to pay delivery because they're delivering hydro at least to the point where you would get it. It's insane, and then they tax on top of that. So
fuck's sake. Everybody in Muskoka should be putting solar panels all over their cottages so that off season they're getting paid.
yeah, but and that used to be the thing, right? If you were delivering more hydro than you were consuming, like when you're at work or what have you, and you have solar panels, you got credited back towards your hydro bill because I don't think anybody can completely on solar. They got to tap into the grid somewhat. But yeah, you would get paid a credit for adding hydro into the grid.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? I don't know if that's still the
Uh,
case.
God, if that's changed, that's theft. Like, I mean, you pay for those solar panels to use that power, and then any excess goes onto the grid. That's where there's nowhere else for it to go,
Right.
right? If they're not crediting you
They should be.
for the
Yeah.
excess power, they're stealing that power. That's
Yep.
the only way to describe it.
It's true. But you know, and they've been enabled by, the Wynne government to do all that. So if that is the case,
Yeah,
then
like
arrived at it
until
legally, and they have the government's blessing. So
no, I mean they because they basically they sold it off basically like 51% or whatever of Hydro One, and I understand. Yeah, a lot of things do better privatized. Power is not one of them, and this is now the proof that we, for the longest time in Ontario, had some of the least expensive electric power in the Western world,
yeah,
and now it is the most expensive.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, you know.
But
Anyway,
again, like they again, and this is the argument against big government because big government gives this basic license to buying it. Like when they sold off 51%, Hydro One is the
they still call themselves Hydro One. I don't know who they are, like
okay,
the parent company.
yeah. But they did all this under the blessing of the government, and they basically
Yeah,
probably wrote with the government, say, "Hey, what about this? Let's pass this law because it helps us." So that's an
mhm.
argument for keeping government small, and that's why I'll vote
No, yeah,
libertarian.
but see,
So,
like I, the Win Liberals promised a whole bunch of stuff to Ontario, and then realized when they got elected they couldn't afford it.
yeah.
So they needed several $billion very quickly, and went, "Oh, hey, look, we can privatize this, right?"
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's yeah,
now they're getting a huge tax grab by raising the minimum wage to $14 an hour. They're collecting so much more in taxes now with the minimum wage going up to $14 an hour for the people who will continue to work, kicked out
yeah,
of their ear.
exactly. Like, I
So,
mean, where I work, our hours have been cut back drastically.
yeah.
And there's the Tim Hortons. Now, it's not Tim Hortons' parent company's fault, but each individual franchisee is having trouble depending where they're located, right?
Right.
Like, I'm sure downtown and Main Street places aren't having serious trouble, but it's not easy. Like,
Well,
it's
they
not easy to be this like beholden to your parent company, your franchisor, and follow all their rules and pay somebody now $14 an hour
exactly.
punch a couple of buttons and hand someone a coffee for 220.
Well, let's just say, and you know what? It's and what it comes down to is it's really a tax grab. Yes, some popularity amongst low skill, low earnings workers because they've had an increase, but what it is an artificial increase on the price of labor.
Mm,
It's like, and when people get upset because hydro costs go up because of something the government's done, or gas prices go up because of a carbon tax, they're rightly upset with the government for doing it. But they get mad at Tim Hortons for, cutting back on breaks, or, it's just so that they can break even now with this artificial increase in the cost
yeah,
of labor. When really it's the government to blame. Don't blame the people who want to keep slinging coffee. They want to keep selling their product. They've got to make adjustments, and the only thing they can really adjust is the cost of labor, or how much they spend on labor hours, and
yeah.
cutting back benefits.
Mm.
You know,
And
so
the thing, like, this is a little bit deeper. The thing that people don't realize is, like, last year, December,
yeah,
if you were getting paid 11.40 or 11.60 in Ontario,
yeah,
that was the minimum wage. And then January 1st, you're getting paid $14 an hour. Well, guess what? The value of your labor didn't increase by
yeah,
$2.60.
yeah.
So what did happen? The value of the money went down. And come next December, whatever cost you $11.60 or whatever it was last year in
Mhm.
December is going to cost you $14.
Yeah, because the price increasing the minimum wage increases the cost of living because
Yeah.
everything becomes more expensive, right? So
Yeah, and this is worst for people who are close to retiring. And let's say somebody going to retire in a couple of years, they've put away $140,000. Well, by December, that money, its buying power may be reduced to $116,000 at this point.
right,
So it's become drastically harder for, like, don't get me wrong, I'm for a minimum wage. I understand that it's necessary. And with inflation, if we did it every year, you raise it a nickel or a dime or something like
yeah,
that. But when you start playing these weird catch-up games and
yeah,
jumping, what is it, 28%,
yeah,
right? That's and then by next January they want it to be 15, so it'll be a total of 30 odd percent.
yeah.
Right. You're not fixing the problem. You're just
No.
making a new one.
Exactly, and and it's couched in the argument that, well, this is social justice because these people deserve a living wage. Well, first off, the person who's making 11.60 or whatever it was, prior to January 1st, they either just started their job and are probably on probation. But anybody who's been working at a Tim Hortons or a McDonald's or whatever for 3 or 4 years, because that's the only job they can do, and they're still making 10.60, people generally will get a wage increase as they progress through their company. So the idea of 10.40 being the minimum wage, that's a starting wage. That's something you only get. Will increase it by a quarter or 50 cents or a dollar after your 6 month or 1 year probation. So and then the idea of, well, it's not a living wage. Well, were they undead prior to January 1st? They, like before. So now they're living better than they were before, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. The arguments for it increasing minimum wage, they come from a sympathy and empathy and what have you, but they're not well reasoned. And when you does, and there's lots of videos that talk about this, but is it keeps people who have no skills, for whatever reason they dropped out of high school or whatever, from no skills, from ever getting into the labor market, because they're not worth $14 an hour. They don't have any skills. So people will simply
Yeah.
not hire them. They're going to hire somebody who's already got some skills. So, but anyway,
Yeah. And I mean, like, oh, don't get me wrong. I think people who have no skills should still, be able to survive. But maybe, guess what? Maybe you can't survive in Toronto.
well,
Maybe you've got to
yeah,
go out to Barrie. Maybe you've got to go out to where's that place that they're basically paying people to come live there? Is it
I'm not sure.
Perry Sound or
It's beautiful country up there. I'd live there for sure.
Yeah, sure. It's 3 hours outside of Toronto, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely in the boonies, but they're basically giving away houses.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like they're doing everything to draw people there. And if we keep artificially inflating the wages,
Yep.
people won't go there,
No.
right? And that's if people do exodus from Toronto, guess what? Housing costs will go down.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Right. They'll level off somewhere. You won't need government intervention like we've actually had to
Yeah.
fucking stabilize the housing market, because it's not a bubble. It's just a staunch ramp leading our cost of living and our home prices up.
Well, yeah. I mean, like now I've got just a basic cursory understanding of what's on in Toronto over the last decade or two. But
Mm.
my understanding is all these condo high rises are going up. They're being bought by people who don't even live in Toronto. The condos are being bought by people who don't even live in the country a lot of times on basically on speculation that they're either going to be able to flip it or just rent it, but they can only rent it to people who are professionals
Yeah.
and are making tons of cash. That leaves a shortage of housing for entry level people just starting out in their careers. So
Yeah, and I
inflates the
mean,
price of even those low, what should be low rent places to live, right? So
yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know the percentage of that, like foreign buyers renting or flipping, but it's just God. In Toronto, everyone wants to do everything down on the waterfront. Everyone wants to put
it's true.
everything new downtown. There's no room there, okay? This city is like 200 years old.
Yeah.
There's no room left on the waterfront. Fucking like, yeah, build in Etobicoke, build in Scarborough. Come on, there's a whole lot of city outside of that south of Bloor area.
Sure. Well, where I am, they're building out here too, but I'm in, like I said, I'm in the suburbs, so
Mm.
it's all houses and it's all townhouses, it's all row houses, stuff like that,
Are
and
they
they're
condo
crammed.
townhouses where you own it, but you still pay condo fees?
And some of them are freehold, so yeah,
Oh, that's good.
but they're selling for $500,000 for a townhouse
Yeah.
or more,
Well, I mean,
which
hey,
insane me.
my sister and brother-in-law bought a townhouse, and this was in Toronto. It's actually like Burnham Thorpe and Kipling area, if you're familiar.
Okay. Yep.
Um, and it's almost
Yep.
3,000 square feet, I think. And the thing is, they bought it about 5 or 6 years ago, and they bought it for 840,000.
Wow.
My brother-in-law's in finance, but a year later, they could sell that house for 1.1 million.
There you go.
That's the state of the market at the time, and like
Yeah.
the ramp that we've been on, and the government is intervening to slow the growth.
This is the thing. Another reason to vote libertarian.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like,
but
as long as it's not going to the NDP, I don't care where you throw your vote, right?
yeah. Well, this
But
is
even
it.
if you voted liberal because you believed it, I would have more respect for that than throwing it away to the NDP.
I can't vote liberal. I
Good
voted
man.
NDP years ago, like years ago when I was a
Mhm.
a hippie, but no, I couldn't vote NDP or liberal again, and even the conservatives. I don't know that I could. I don't know who they're going to have up, but we'll see who it is. I liked Andrew Scheer when I saw him, for the federal party, but now I'm hearing a lot of things on Gab and on Minds that Andrew Scheer's he's not a good candidate. He's not a true conservative, and he'll just as easily turn over on this identity politics as anybody else. And I'm like, oh well, we'll see. I don't know. Great
Yeah, no.
libertarian from now on. See what happens.
I don't know. I mean, it's too bad that our Senate doesn't really mean much, and there's not very many conservatives, because the conservatives in our Senate are fucking, they're based, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
Senator Don Plett.
Yeah.
Familiar with him? Oh God, yeah. He was like the only person standing up with Gad Sad and Jordan Peterson and Theron Meyer
The C16.
during
Yeah.
C16. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, he was like, you're all ridiculous. No single person here has said anything about genocide. What the hell is wrong with all you? Talking to the other senators.
I watched that I watched that hearing. And I'm like, my God, these people have been elected to powers, places of authority in our government. And I'm like, if there was ever an argument for, not trusting and not, but it was that hearing. Like,
Yeah.
just listen to what people were saying. I'm like, are you serious? It's like the entire group of people, they must have come from like kindergarten teachers. They must have been kindergarten teachers. That's what it seemed like to me, that they just had this strange idea of how the world should work and how it does work. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah. It was like, I don't, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You're all adults
Yeah.
and you're all twisting these people's words and ideas like it's a schoolyard argument,
Yeah.
you know?
And some of the arguments coming out of them was just like, why can't you just be nice? That's essentially what it came to. Why can't you just be nice and use the pronouns that they want you to? And I mean, get it any more clear? He's like, because you don't have the right to tell me how I should speak. Like, you can't compel me to speak in a certain way.
Canadians have this thing about being polite, right? That
Yeah.
it's like a stereotype how nice we are, but you can't mandate our
Exactly.
politeness. You
Yeah.
can't demand
Yeah.
that I be nice. You just can't do it.
I
Okay.
had a friend who made the same argument. Why can't you just say it? I'm like, because I'm not going to make up language. Like, here's the thing, and I've said this in my videos before. You have control over the pronouns me, myself, and I, and that's it. You can't
Yeah.
dictate how other people address you. And furthermore, in the pronoun debate, I was always taught that when you're speaking in front of somebody, you shouldn't use the third person pronoun when they're
Mhm.
present. Rude, because essentially you're talking about them.
Yeah.
So what the transgender activists are asking you to do is basically not just be respectful of them, but they want to control how it is you speak about them, even when they're not present, because you have to refer to
Yeah.
them as Z or Zim or Zat or whatever. But and it's a form of tyranny that's just, and it's got the blessing, again, the blessing of the government. Yes, you must do this, else face jail time. I
And
think I'm gonna
hey,
go to jail at some point because I know it's gonna happen.
you never know. Like, I mean, I don't even know what the rules really are because C-16 is so vague and the Human
Yeah,
Rights Commission, uh, what do you call them? Guidelines, the policies, they're
yeah,
so poorly written that I
mhm,
actually demonstrated that a cis person
mhm.
can choose to identify as a trans person. That's
Sure,
how vaguely they're written. That I am
yeah,
cis, I'm a cis male, all right?
yeah,
I have
but
no
identify as
intention, but I can identify as trans because I exist on the spectrum that they described.
well, there you go.
Right? Yeah.
Lucky you.
Like it,
And so, if you want to be, if you identify as a yogurt tube, you can identify as a yogurt tube.
yeah. And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're a fan of Jordan Peterson, but he's talked about this as a clinical
yeah,
psychologist that your identity is not a choice. Your identity is a negotiation
yeah.
between you and the
Yes,
world, right?
right.
That when you rub a piece of metal against a rock, shit changes and you don't get to choose to be the same shape your entire life because you're going to be
Right.
rubbed against the rock and it's
Yep.
going to alter you and it has an effect on you and you have an effect on it and you're constantly negotiating and growing and it's not a choice to say
Yeah.
everyone can choose their identity. That's bullshit because
It's
then
like saying,
everyone would choose to be Batman.
yeah, or
Like,
I identify as the King of Canada. I expect you to address me as His Majesty.
yeah,
Did you hear about that kid? I think it was at uh,
Yale.
was it Yale?
It was an
But he
Ivy
said,
League.
yeah, yeah. He said, I identify Your Majesty and His Majesty, and that's how I expect you to. And
Yeah,
they have to essentially, right? Because those would qualify as pronouns.
because of the way they wrote their policies
Yeah,
because they're not thinking forward. They're
no,
just being nice.
yeah.
And
They have the intention of sparing the feelings of a few people, a very small minority of people, by the way. And that's the thing. Like most of the people who are trans activists, with a cause. They don't have ever had any intention of having an operation. They just want to wear a dress, put on some, eyeshadow, and say, "I'm trans. Respect me." Right. So,
The yeah, the activists, yeah, definitely. And I mean, what's really funny is there's a handful, at least, of real trans people. Are you familiar with Blair White?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I she's great, and
Mhm.
we actually have a Canadian tranny by the name of Ella Grant. Are
Oh,
you?
I'm not familiar with Ella Grant.
I
I know
just discovered her.
Theron Meyer's Canadian too, right?
No, she's South African. I don't know if she lives in Canada.
Oh, I thought she lived in Canada. Okay. Well, I thought she was
I'm not
Canadian.
sure.
Well,
She
does
spoke
she?
about C16. She was there with, I think, with Gad Sad.
Right. Yeah. So,
Um,
does she live in Canada though? I thought she did, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm honestly not sure. I try to stay out of people's personal lives, right? I just watch their content and listen to their words.
There you go. She's not nearly as hot as Blair White, so
Those eyes are crazy though. You can't
I know.
deny that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's this? What's this?
Ella
What's her
Grant.
name?
Yeah,
Ellen Grant.
Ella Grant, I believe is her name. A Canadian trans chick with a YouTube channel. She's actually pretty funny. And yeah, again, not a trans activist, just a trans person or
Yeah.
trans woman who's also seemingly maybe not conservative, but definitely anti-social justice, anti-progressive liberal bullshit. And
I'm
I
sorry.
just love seeing that.
Trying to
I
look.
love seeing it.
I'm trying to look her up. Yeah, and that's the cool thing. Like when you know, you hear Ben Shapiro's remarks regarding, the transgender pronoun debate, and he had a recent 20-minute talk or so with Blair White. It's very respectful, even though he's saying, "Look, you know what? Like,
Ben Shapiro.
yeah,
Yeah.
very with Blair," and it was very respectful. Like, here's my position. You can't be that as a courtesy. And in my opinion, she's run the gauntlet. Like she went through, she she put in the effort. You know what I mean? So I think she deserves the respect of being addressed as she. Again, you can't. She would never force it on anybody, and you can't force it on somebody that you must call me she. She might consider it rude, but
And here's the funny thing is Ben Shapiro, who is staunchly about the biology of it, right?
yeah,
And in the context of describing Blair White, would say that Blair White is a man,
yeah,
but basically admitted that because of the way she appears, it would be so much easier in public
right,
to say to somebody else, like a maitre d,
right.
"Oh,
It's the woman in the
I'm to be
blue
seated with a
dress.
woman
Yeah,
there." Yeah, right. Because you can't avoid it. She
right,
looks like a woman. There's no denying it.
right,
So like it's not so much that he's trying to be an asshole about it. He's just trying to maintain his freedom to use what words
right.
and the ability to point out what is real.
Yeah,
Right? Which is like why is that something that we have to fight for at this point?
yeah. And
So ridiculous.
he also qualified his remarks by saying, "Look, this comes down to specific, you know, sort of theaters of discussion where we're talking about a debate regarding transgender pronouns and transgender movement or the transgender activism.
Yeah.
It's not helpful or at all relevant for you to say, well, here's a trans woman. Would you call her a man? You know what I mean?
Right.
Change any of the facts of the discussion." So he's saying, look, what we, the how we conduct ourselves in a social setting, out to dinner or what have you, will be different from what we're talking about the issue, in like a
Yes.
studio, right? And
Hmm.
he likened it to the whole Piers Morgan debate with regards to gun control in the United States, right? And Piers Morgan wheeled out this kid in a wheelchair and said, "Hey, how can you say to this poor kid who got shot and lost his ability to walk, that guns don't need to be more strictly controlled?" Has nothing to do with the facts of the case. Let's talk about the facts of the case.
Right.
But let's talk about the facts of the case. But yes, it's a courtesy. I
Yeah.
will call you she, but the fact of the matter is, chromosomally, genetically, you're a male. So
Well, I mean, see, and Blair White will tell you that she was born male and
yeah,
that she will die male. Right? That she understands all the science of it, right?
mm,
But she lives as a woman
right,
and appears as a woman.
mhm,
And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, sure, she's a woman. Like
right.
to be honest, I don't care enough to fight people on it.
It's Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Craig, if you told me right now that you're a woman, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But if you told me that you're
A yogurt tube.
a yogurt tube. I was gonna steal one from my buddy Burnside, a
Oh.
quad dimensional trans brony lord, and that I have to address you as Zer, I'd be like, no, fuck that noise.
Yeah. Is your
Fuck
buddy?
that. You know why? The same reason. I don't care enough. I don't care enough to remember your fucking made up gender, and I don't care enough to remember your new pronoun.
Right.
Give me the ones with that I'm already familiar.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And sure, I'll call you whatever the fuck you want, as long as I'm already familiar with that shit. But
exactly.
otherwise, I don't care enough.
Yeah. The idea that people walk around with name tags saying my preferred pronouns are this.
God.
It's a little
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's like you don't have any control over your reputation as much as you'd like to. You have very limited control over your reputation. But if somebody wants to talk about you in a manner, that isn't very flattering, there's nothing you can do about it. So the idea that we can now all of a sudden control how people address or refer to somebody else, pronoun wise, because of sexual identity or gender identity, is as ridiculous as saying you can't ever say anything that might besmirch somebody's reputation. I mean,
yeah,
laws and slander laws, but I mean, in terms of saying, that guy, he farts in elevators, that's, there's nothing you can do about somebody saying that you fart in elevators, right? You can say, no, I don't, but
yeah, but
no.
it's a loaded, yeah. No, I hear it. I know where you're coming from.
It's not exactly a good and like a correct analogy, but the whole point is the idea that somebody would try and force somebody. You're a doctor when you're not a doctor. I identify as a doctor.
I like
so
that one.
I expect you to, me as Dr. Craig, even though I'm not a doctor, right? I don't have the credentials for it. I haven't built that reputation up, and I haven't done the work to be addressed as doctor. So
no, and I mean this. Like, did you see Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman?
Oh god, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
all the memes that are coming out from it now as well.
Oh, that was a fun ride.
It was.
But
he's unflappable, eh? Like you can't. I mean, you can see sometimes he gets a little irritated, and when he said it hasn't been altogether pleasant, or it's been rather unpleasant, the way he looked at it, like
himself.
Ooh.
Yeah, like he like gives her the
out.
eagle eye when he means to, and that's it.
Yeah,
right.
And I've heard him say things that are like kind of dark, but but in that interview, he was for the most part unflappable. Nothing really got under his skin. The best like moment was, I've been a clinical psychologist for the last 30 years. I've been practicing clinical
the right to say that. I'm a clinical psychologist, bitch.
This is what I do.
But there was something there. Oh shit, I lost it now. Where she said, "Oh, you got in trouble for refusing to use trans students' pronouns," and he said, "No.
Yeah,
I got in trouble for saying that I wouldn't do it if it was mandated by law.
Right.
I never even did the thing." Right? It never got there. It never came to that point, and yet I was in trouble.
Yeah.
And I have the same idea, like on that I discovered something very strange, that I dislike being told what to do.
Yeah.
More than I dislike cancer.
I'm in the same boat. You don't have cancer, do you?
No.
Okay,
no.
Good. I was gonna say,
not yet.
Not well. Who knows, right? Got a few years yet to find out. But I'm in the same boat. I don't like being told what to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just before or how to to curb my language in certain way. I was out at dinner before New Year's with some friends, and my political persuasion are polar opposites, like water and oil. But we were talking about the new Star Wars movie, and I said there was that line when Rose stops Finn from saving the day. Terrible piece of cinema, but anyway, when she says no, we won't win by destroying what we hate. We'll win by protecting what we love. It's so gay. And I said this dinner, at a restaurant. And my friends looked at me like, how dare you use that word in that manner, right?
Ah,
I said, that's gay. And I'm like, yeah, it's gay. Because, I mean gay the way someone in grade 6 means gay. Lame that, it needs to be ridiculed. So anyway,
yeah, no, I
and
know.
it really irks me to say, please don't use that word. Fuck you. Don't tell me how to speak.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I actually discovered the metric for this cancer being told what to do thing by accident. Movember, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar with the concept.
Yeah.
Grow a mustache all through November and
Virtue
you
signal for
know,
an entire month with your face.
well, raise awareness for men's cancers, right? That's
Yes.
yeah, sure. And I said, "Oh yeah," because I was watching Deadwood. Oh yeah, I'm gonna grow one of those wicked mustaches and connect it to my sideburns. And someone said, "No, you can't." And I said, "What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I can't." And they're like, "There's like apparently there's a whole website for Movember
The rules. Yeah.
that lays out the rules for
Yeah.
mustaches. That a mustache has to be separate from all of their facial hair. It can't connect to your sideburns or to your beard, or it doesn't count." And I was like, fuck you. You don't fucking tell me what to do. I'm going to grow my whole beard and shave the mustache away
Yeah.
in an effort to reduce awareness. Like I was so contrary about it
It's
that it just made me so mad
yeah.
telling me what I can and can't do, you know?
You were gonna
And
grow a
yeah,
Mobius. That's a Mobius, right? A mustache that connects sideburns but no beard. That's a Mobius, I think they call it.
is it?
Yeah, I think
I don't
that's
know.
what they do.
It's very old west, right? You bush out this, your sideburns are huge, and
Yeah.
just shave off like basically the opposite of what my beard is now.
Yeah. You don't
From
have a
here up
goatee,
instead of
right?
from here down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I'd be all over that.
Yeah, and apparently it's against the rules, and I was so mad that I was like, you know what? Fuck men's cancer.
It's true. It is like it's virtue signaling for 30 days with your face. And I shouldn't say nobody, very few people look good with just a mustache anymore. It's
Yeah.
just not fashionable. So it's almost like in order for men to raise awareness of cancer, they kind of have to make a mockery of themselves. And I guess that's part of the challenge, right? But
Yeah.
and I
I
guknow
mean, like,
it's the same for
okay.
people when they shave their head, for cancer awareness, they shave their head and donate their hair to make wigs. That's
Mhm.
at least, that's at least a good thing you're doing because there's a net benefit out of shaving your head. It gets put into making a wig for people who have cancer.
Mhm.
But the idea of just growing a mustache, ice bucket challenge or anything else, you're just making a fool of yourself for the purposes of raising money, the purposes of virtue signaling. But
I would like to disagree that it's strictly virtue signaling. I don't think it is. I mean, you look at the ice bucket challenge for ALS, right?
right,
It seems like a silly thing that you're humiliating yourself, but they raised more money in the first couple of months than people had raised for ALS in the previous decade. And now ALS has one of the most funded art or research for a cure
yeah,
of all kinds of diseases. And I mean, I know it seems weird, but you look at like men's specific cancers versus women's specific cancers.
yeah,
Women's specific cancers have a lot of awareness, right? Like the you've seen NFL players
yeah,
wear their pink gloves and shit, right?
yeah,
And the breast cancer gets 10 times more funding than
yeah,
prostate cancer, even though they kill about the same rate.
right.
So, I mean, I don't think it's strictly virtue signaling. I think it does help, right?
Yeah,
Even in the small thing that it does, I think it helps.
I should qualify those marks, and I can see that point. Yes, of course, it does raise awareness, and people who do the Movember challenge, they typically sign up sponsors who, if he
Mhm.
if he does it over the course of the month and he doesn't shave it off, whatever, they're going to give 10, 20 bucks, whatever, which is good, and I appreciate that aspect of it. That's fine. I guess my point is that if you if you wanted to donate to a cause, you could just donate to a cause. Why do you need to
Mm.
make a spectacle of yourself to do it?
No, I
And
know, but I
and
mean,
mind,
like,
mind you, raises awareness, sure, and people are like, yeah, I'll do it too. But there was a lot of people who took heat for the ALS challenge, the ice bucket challenge, where they said, yeah, they would like a celebrity would do it. He says, okay, I'm challenging Conan O'Brien to do it, and then Conan O'Brien would do it. I'm challenging, Vince Vaughn to do it. I don't remember who it was. One celebrity says, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'll give the money, but I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to make it about me. And that's sort of, and it's a bit of a tangent or a bit of a weird segue, but it's kind of like the whole idea when there's a terrorist attack somewhere, and then people change their flag filters, or
oh,
they make a Facebook post. So my heart my heart is grieving for the people of the terrible thing that's happened.
okay,
There was a comic.
that is virtue signaling. Okay.
It is, but there was a comic who was saying what it comes down to is, or the comic is, I wish I could remember his name, but he's saying, what you're saying is, yeah, guys, there's a lot of really terrible stuff happening in the world, but don't forget about me. See,
Yeah.
I
See,
kind of see that when people go, I'm going to do this spectacle to help this. You want to make a spectacle out of yourself, and you want to feel good for doing it.
but also at the same time, like an old friend of mine, I haven't spoken to in a long time. His mom died of cancer, and that's sort of how he brushed up against cancer. And then when he heard about Movember,
Yeah.
he was very active about it, right? That he grew his mustache and he got pledges and he got people to and he donated himself. And like I I don't want to take away from that guy.
No.
You know what I mean?
And again, I agree that the good that it does is there. Maybe I'm just being overly cynical about
I
the spectacle of it. Maybe it's because I can't grow a mustache very well, and I'm just
I
jealous.
think you're not wrong in that a lot of people do want to make it about themselves,
Yeah,
right? But even if they are making it about themselves, they're still spreading the awareness,
yeah.
right? Like,
It's not
and
altogether selfish, and I shouldn't. You're right. Shouldn't be so dismissive of the
no,
act. I
you know,
just
if you want to call
my
bullshit
perception
people
of
on
it.
it, call them on it. But I think the whole thing in and of itself is it it it's a net good.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You're right. I'm just. I guess.
we're so Canadian.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm agreeing, right? But no, I concede. You're right. It is a good thing. Motivation of some people for doing it, and I think it's a bandwagon thing too. People are like, he's doing
Absolutely.
it, and he's doing it. I better do it too. So it's a social sort of social cooperation thing or social expectation in a lot of cases. Um, and it comes from a good place. I'm not trying to deride the
Mhm.
people who do it. I understand that they have an outward motivation that is good and just, but in me going, you're making it about you in some degree.
Yeah,
And I think that and the ice bucket challenge, when there was a celebrity who said, look, I don't want to do that because I don't want to make it about me. I will donate money, donate it, but I'm not going to pour ice on my head.
yeah,
And
which is
people give a
actually
shit
pretty
for it.
based. Like, no, it's pretty based. It's the right, yeah, it's the right move.
Yeah.
On the other
But
hand, I don't think any of those celebrities, because remember the whole point was you either dump the ice on your head or you donate. I'm pretty sure most of the celebs who got and dumped ice on their
yeah,
heads, they still donated, right?
they also donated, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think if you did it just to avoid donating, the big prick, you're a real asshole because you're like,
Mm,
fuck that, I'm not giving up my hard-earned money for this really
yeah,
worthy cause. I'd
exactly.
rather just freeze. That's a shitty thing. I'm sure everybody donated, but the whole idea was you did it, and then you were to challenge someone else to do it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Right? So
But I mean, but it worked. Like they got so much money for research for ALS.
yeah,
Right. And I mean, yeah, it's silly. Yeah, it's virtue signaling and you make a spectacle and all that, but it works.
yeah. Dave, I mean, I
And
guess they've got to do something to raise these monies, right? So, and
yeah.
good on them for the success they had, and ignore my statements about it being just virtue signaling because it's a dick thing to say.
No. Not at all. Not at all. For some people, they are just doing it, right? You know, they're doing it to look a certain way. That's absolutely true. I know they exist. But the thing itself, Net good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Cool.
So what else?
Uh,
You were talking about we were
fuck.
talking about Brown that sort of moved elsewhere. We were talking about the murdered couple.
Yeah, and we only have the details that we touched on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? I think this has been a successful stream, Craig.
I
We did a
agree.
good job here. You wanna call it? I'll do a little bit of outro and but don't just disappear when I stop the
Oh,
broadcast.
I won't. I won't. That's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad to be a part of it, and I should host one at some point as well.
Absolutely. I was
Put it
thinking
on
the
my
same
channel.
thing.
Put it on my channel, and I think we worked out the kinks to some degree in terms of technology. I don't like the webcam that's on my actual laptop
You
though.
fix that on your time and then you
Yeah,
invite me on
exactly.
your stream. All right.
Sounds good.
So, okay, I want to say thanks to everyone who's been watching, because I haven't been monitoring the chat, so let me take a quick look.
Has there been people in here? I haven't looked at it either. So
Oh my God, Stan Ulch and the next 6 minutes. Good friends of mine, regulars on my stream here.
cool.
Nice to see you guys. Glad you were watching, and just want to say thanks to everyone who has been watching, and thanks to everyone who will watch, because we might get as many as 50 views
Nice.
after the fact. Uh, and I'm gonna tell you, Craig, uh, there's people who do a stream called Chaos 120,
Okay.
and they are kind enough to allow me to stream with them every once in a while.
Okay.
And that usually runs from 10 to midnight Eastern time. And afterwards, I will occasionally do something called after hours and
Okay.
run a stream. Do you think you might be around sometime between 12:30 and 1:30?
Tonight,
Yeah.
uh, I could be.
I'll send you the link to the
All right.
Hangout, and you feel free to jump in if you can. But this is everyone. This is Craig Bragg. Follow his YouTube channel as mine. The links are in the description. I don't have your Twitter handle in there, but I'm sure they can find it.
Yeah, it's the same as my mind's one. It's at Craig Bragg. So Cragg
That's
Bragg.
beautiful.
Nice.
And yeah, we'll definitely do this again sometime. If not on my channel, on your channel. Let's absolutely do it.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All righty.
Thanks very
And
much.
thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
Peace.